Welcome to the Quit Vaping podcast, the podcast designed to make you a non-listener. In this show, I'm not going to scare you away from a life of vaping. What I am going to do is show you just how good your life can be without it. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the bittersweet last episode of the Quit Vaping podcast. So before I get going, I just want to tell you guys, it is the 2nd of January, 2024. I'm really excited for this year and I'm sick. So it's been kind of a weird winter in Michigan. It's been very hot and then very cold, then very hot, then very cold, then very wet, then very dry and all that. So I think I just got like some kind of throat thing going on. It's all good. I'm happy it happens now at the very start of the year instead of like a week into it. So I'll just be hitting the ground running and it's all good. But welcome. So I want to tell you today about this episode. I'm going to tell you about why it's the last episode. I'm going to tell you where I'm going in the future. And then I'm going to end this episode with pretty much just like a wrap up of everything you've learned in this podcast. Just as like the general concepts, okay? And let's get going with it today. So why is this the last episode? I decided that because quitting vaping is kind of a strange niche, it's not like helping you to grow your business or helping you like learn how to manage your overeating. It's something that you do and you end, right? So in theory, I think that 52 episodes is symbolically enough episodes to make you have like formed a decision if you want to quit or not. You have plenty of information in this podcast. I promise you, you have everything you need and you know that you have everything you need. So at the very baseline of what's going on, you just have to make a decision. Do I want to quit or not? And then you have to decide that and stick with it. And yes, you're still going to have to manage your thoughts and emotions during that process, but you've been given everything you need in this podcast, and I sincerely believe in you, okay? If you want additional help, I just finished my new program. It's a quitting vaping program. It's completely recorded. I did everything on the slides as opposed to me standing up teaching on a camera. I think it's much more professional looking. I think it's way more in depth, and it's just like a bomb ass program. It's so good. I've been watching the videos back over the last couple of days, and I'm like, this is really, I think every adult should learn this, especially if they're having a problem with nicotine. It's just everything you need to learn about your brain, your body, your emotions, your thoughts. It's amazing. And it's very, very compact. I think it's like a 3.5 hour program, and the exercises are built in now. You don't have to do a workbook. It's just like everything about it's really impressed me. I feel like I'm really stepping into the coach that I've seen myself as in my visions, for my future. So with that said, this will be the last episode. If you want additional help from what's in this podcast, I will be making content on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Those will be my big 3 for this year. I will not be podcasting this year anyways. In the future, why am I doing this? So in the future, I'm still absolutely going to do the Quit Vaping niche. This is a powerhouse for me, but I'm also going to expand and talk generally about dopamine. And I'm going to talk about other things like numbing your emotions with things like coffee and alcohol and porn. And social media has been a big one for me. As you guys know, I've actually decided, maybe you don't know, I've decided this month with my boyfriend, we're cutting out any scrolling at all. So I've cut out coffee. This is one you guys do know about if you've listened for the last couple of weeks. I've cut out coffee completely. I will do like a caffeinated tea once a week now-ish if I really want it. But even that, it's like I don't really need it anymore. And yeah, no more vaping, no more coffee. I've actually been doing no porn as well with my boyfriend since I started dating him. So we're both trying to help each other grow in that regards. And I want to start making a lot of information. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask if I help with over porning, over video gaming, and I want to just talk about all that because I think although there's nuances between them, at their very baseline, they're all dopamine related, and that's what we have to understand is like how your brain works on dopamine, how your emotions work, how to override your brain's desire to just go seek pleasure all the time. That's what thought and emotional work is all about that I teach in this podcast. So in the future, I'm going to broaden out, but Quit Vaping will always have a special part in my heart, and the program I released is absolutely fucking bomb, and you guys are going to get a lot more content from me on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram in that niche as I continue to grow. So keep an eye out for it, just not from this podcast, unfortunately. But with that said, I will be moving to August. I'll be moving to Miami in August, I believe. I'm dating a guy, his name's Kyle, and he's a feng shui consultant, and I've never been aligned with someone so much on the relationship front. I've been doing a lot of work on myself over the last couple of years, and I'm finally at the place where like I know that I'm a really good partner, and I know that anyone who would be dating me is very lucky to be dating me. And I just had someone stumble into my life that I also feel the exact same way about. So we'll be moving in hopefully in August if everything goes well to Miami. And we're going to be doing at some point businesses together, which is so attractive to me. He does feng shui, which is like the outside world coaching, and I do obviously the mindset coaching and the emotional coaching with the inside world. So we want to have a program called like the yin and the yang, where he's doing the outside, I'm doing the inside, and we're going to have like a complete life transformation programs and things like that in the future. Sounds really exciting, but that's kind of where I'm headed. Okay, so I'll be in the industry. I'll be doing all this stuff with vaping, all the stuff with dopamine, other vices as well, and then hopefully I'll be doing stuff with him in the near future. But that's definitely going to happen as long as we're dating in the not so near future. So that's what's going on. And please, if you've gotten value from this podcast, like please reach out to me, like do something that lets me know you're alive. It's so nice. Like it's one of the best things ever when I get people saying, hey, this podcast really helped. Like I just love meeting you guys and talking to you guys, and it's great. And then also please like leave a 5-star review somewhere. If you want to share this with anybody, that'd be great. I put a lot of work into this podcast, and I just think it's an absolutely incredible free source of value for the problem of quitting vaping. And then also the other tools, everything else that this podcast represents about you stepping into the biggest version of your life, aside from just quitting vaping. So keep an eye out for me. I'll be in the industry. If you guys still want one-on-one coaching, I've had a few people reach out, actually quite a few from this podcast, and want one-on-one coaching. I will be doing that. I'm going to be doing shorter term packages that are just more potent and more like organized towards just one goal as opposed to general life coaching, which I'll still be doing. But, keep an eye out. If you want to consult, you can always do a free consult in my bio. That's currently available as of recording this. And yeah, I'll put together a quick, easy package for you to follow and just make you a clear offer. And if that's what you want, awesome. I'd love to do it. But yes, keep an eye out because I'll be creating a lot more just cheaper offers that are pre-recorded and things like that. So that's my intention for this year. I'm really excited about it. So with that said, thank you for kind of holding on. I know it's been 6 minutes of just introduction, but hey, you know what? It's the last episode, so let me have it. Let's look at a review of everything you learned in this podcast, just so you have a good understanding of everything all wrapped up together, okay? So to start off, I just want to offer this. Your brain isn't designed to live in an environment like we have today. That's the problem. It's not our brain. Our brain isn't broken. Your brain's working exactly how it should. The issue is that your brain exists in an environment where it was never designed to exist. Or I could say where it currently isn't designed to exist, okay? That means that we're always going to have a part of our brain that wants to seek dopamine all the time. That's fine. Nothing's gone wrong with that. But because our environment is so flooded with dopamine things like nicotine and porn and all that shit, we have to learn how to manage our brain. That's the whole issue. So if you're struggling to quit vaping and you've really had to struggle with that, the reason is that you're not aligned with your brain on board with quitting. That means you're having thoughts about nicotine that is supporting nicotine, and those thoughts are optional. So you need to fix those thoughts. That's what you have to do. Because if you don't, you're always going to want nicotine. Even if you quit vaping, if you still believe that your life is better with it and you choose all these thoughts, then you're always going to have a desire to use it, and you're going to be fighting cravings to use it. Because remember, your thoughts create your emotions, and cravings are an emotion, actually. Cravings are created by your thoughts. They're emotional. So your thoughts create your cravings, which drive your actions and then create your results. So if you don't change your thoughts, you're always going to have to be fighting against your cravings. And quite literally, that means that your brain is not aligned with your actions. That's not a good place to be. It's very disempowering, and it's very frustrating for people who are trying to quit, who can't seem to figure that out. So just be mindful. It's not a problem with your brain. Your brain's working just how it should. But we live in an environment now where the only option we have, if we want to have a meaningful life free of addiction, is to override our brain by learning emotional and thought regulation tools. Okay? That's pretty much the backbone of this entire podcast. I've tried in different episodes kind of attacking each belief system. I tried that when I first started. I've just taught you the basic concepts. Like, here's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to help you change your beliefs. Because if you can change your beliefs, you'll stop craving nicotine. You'll stop desiring it. And again, like, it's kind of weird with quitting vaping because you really can just change your beliefs and never desire nicotine. Nicotine is not something that you actually are designed to crave. There's nothing built into us that needs nicotine. That's a learned craving. So when it comes to nicotine, because it's a substance we don't need in our lives, we can just learn to not crave it by just changing our thoughts about it. You can do the same thing with alcohol, but you can't do the same thing with food. So whenever you're doing like overeating coaching versus, I would say, my specific niche of coaching where I'm just helping you end a substance use altogether, you want to teach people how to regulate their thoughts around it and then also subsequently their emotions, right? Because if you're just regulating your thoughts around food and you still have to eat, then you're probably going to overeat still. But if you are in a substance with nicotine where you can just eliminate the use of it altogether, really all you need to do is just change your thoughts. But the reason why I teach about emotions so heavily in this podcast is because if you don't learn how to manage your emotions, you're going to find an outlet to numb them. It might not be vaping, but I promise you're going to find an outlet to numb them, right? Let me give you some examples from my own personal life. Nicotine, vaping, and all different flavors and shapes, hookah, cigarettes, I did lozenges, nicotine. Another example for me where I learned how to numb my emotions was alcohol. Another one was caffeine, which I recently actually am still shocked to find out. That was a big one for me. I didn't even realize that I was numbing it. It can be very sneaky sometimes. So you want to just be onto yourself. Another big one was porn, social media. For me, alcohol, I don't know if I said that. Drugs, I've done a lot of different drugs in my life. Like I pretty much am teaching you the emotional element so that when you quit vaping by changing your thoughts, you also don't have to go back to something else that's going to be just as, harmful for you overall. And the reason why this is so important, why this emotional element is so important, because you have to understand what you're feeling in your body, or you're not going to know what you want with your life. It's very important. If you're constantly numbing your emotions with substances, even if it's like social media, it means that you're going to mess up your natural guidance system telling you, I like this or I don't like that. So many people in modern society are so wildly lost. There's a couple of reasons for that, but I think the biggest one is because we've learned to numb over our natural guidance system on what it is that we want that's meaningful for our lives. So when we cut out the numbing substances, we're left with the good and the bad emotions, and there's nothing wrong with that. Negative emotions are just vibrations in your body. They can't hurt you. Your response to them surely will hurt you. Whether you choose to allow them and let them pass won't hurt you. If you choose to numb them and get addicted, or you choose to resist them and then get addicted anyways, then that's going to hurt you, right? So a big cornerstone of the emotional work I do is just like, let's first clean your thoughts up about experiencing all the emotions, because you've been taught that you need to be happy all the time, and that's going to hurt you. And that's not a good thing, because you can't be happy all the time. And you try to numb yourself when you think you need to be happy all the time. So the first thing is, let's clean up your belief. You don't need to be happy all the time. You don't need to numb your emotions. They're just vibrations. And now that you've, kind of been primed to feel your emotions, let's start learning how to feel them. Okay? Now, obviously, you can quit vaping by just changing your thoughts. That should be obvious at this point in this podcast. That's the whole point. But I think let's also teach you about your emotions, so that when you quit vaping, you don't need to go back. You don't feel the need to numb over anxiety. Anxiety is something that doesn't need to be numbed. And when you choose to numb your emotions, because we're all going to do it still, we're all human. I do it still sometimes. You'll choose to do it with things that aren't going to lead to addiction, hopefully, right? The reason why I don't use nicotine anymore in my life, because there's so many substances, right? is because nicotine is so addictive in the way that it's being delivered. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I think I told the story. It's been a couple months now. I went to a cigar bar and I smoked on a cigar. It was my dad's cousin, and like we all had cigars, our whole Italian family. And I'm like, that's fine, I'm gonna try it out. And I did it, and it wasn't a big deal, right? A cigar has an endpoint, and also a cigar has so much other shit in it that you just can't, you can't do it very long, in my opinion. But like when it comes to a vape, it really is, and I teach about this in my new program. It's like these vapes have been designed to be the perfect storm of addiction. What that means is that the way that nicotine is developed into them with nicotine salts and delivered with nicotine vapors, it's just so addictive. It hits you so fast, it hits you so hard that if you're going to casually use nicotine, you're going to always be struggling with on and off addiction. I don't see a point to do that. Okay, so yes, I'm always going to numb my emotions somewhat in my life. I'm not going to do it to the point where it creates results I don't want, like I was doing, but I understand I'm a human being, and sometimes I'm going to want to overeat food or potentially have a drink of alcohol. Okay, so in terms of like living your life, you don't have to cut out everything to learn how to feel your emotions. You just have to do it to the point where you have a hold over your emotions enough to not create results you don't want. That's the backbone of what I teach. I just went to a New Year's party. I drank yesterday and overate food. I chose to do that. It wasn't out of my control, right? That's far different from being in an addiction of nicotine where I feel like I'm not in control over myself. So just be mindful of that. Yes, I teach you how to manage your thoughts and feel your emotions, but you don't have to feel every single emotion all the time. But you should at least learn the skill set of you being able to decide when you choose to feel your emotions rather than you escaping them without feeling like you're in control. So if you learn how to manage your thoughts, you also learn how to manage your emotions, your actions, your results, because your thoughts create all of that. In addition, sometimes you're going to have thoughts that create negative emotions. That's completely normal, because sometimes it's okay to feel negative emotion, and you don't need to change the thought. You don't need to change every single thought that's going to make you want to feel good all the time. That's not how it works. If you try to do that, you're inevitably going to try to numb your emotions when you can't feel good all the time, and that's part of the problem with vaping. In addition, you can change your thoughts, feel your emotions. Nicotine itself, how it's being delivered with vapes, is very, very addictive. So I personally, my belief right now, and I don't think this is going to change, is, and I'm open-minded by the way, about all these things, but my personal belief after a lot of consideration, more than most of the world, obviously, with the work I do, my current belief is that there's just no room for vaping and addiction of nicotine in my life. So that I don't think that'll be changing. All right, so that's a pretty good wrap up. I think that was a really nice little concise way to end this podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Seriously, like it means the world to me that I've been able to change people's lives and that you actually show up in the numbers and the amount that you do and like the consistency. Some of these people that listen to this podcast are amazing. Like you guys sent me, Spotify does like a year in review, and I was getting people sending me year in reviews that they've listened. I was like 40 hours, or like 80 hours, like something ridiculous. 80 hours they've listened to my voice, and like it's just amazing to me. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for showing up. Please, if you want help with any of these problems in the future, or if you might want to look at another substance, like reach out to me. Tell me what's going on. I need to know what you need help with. And I'd love to hear from you on Instagram. My TikTok is available. I'll put it, I'll post all that stuff, but reach out to me, try out the program. Like it's going to change your life. It's going to help you far beyond the scope of just vaping. These tools I'm going to put out are just going to be great. I'm so excited about them. They already are. And thank you for coming on this journey with me. Please, like if you want more from me, please don't like forget about me. Come find me. I'll be around. I want to help you. And also find me and like give me tips. What do you need help with? I'd love to help you. So thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry I'm sick today. Sorry I was a little bit scatterbrained, just a little bit foggy with what's going on. But thank you. You is kind. You is smart. You is important. I will see you in the world. Have a wonderful week and happy New Year. What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying the show and that each episode is bringing you one step closer to becoming a non-listener. If you'd like to take all this information to the next level and finally quit vaping for good, you can check out the course link in my bio. Have a great day. See you next week.